Okay, this particular grouping activity I use in my social studies class when we're studying ancient Greece and looking at some of the early forms of government that the Greek civilization had. Students walk into class and they have a table full of note cards, and every student will grab a note card that'll have either a check mark, symbols, and all sorts of different things going on. And initially they are kind of confused and not sure what they mean. So once they all get their cards, they then will organize themselves at three different groups, and the groups are determined by the color of the check mark. So there's red, blue, and green. So these are the three major groups of students that I have in the room. And then what I have them do is we are then going to look at some decisions and looking at the decision-making process as it happens in different types of groups and compare those to some of the early forms of government that we had in ancient Greece. So the first decision they have, and when I do it I kind of have fun with it, and I tell them we're starting a band, and so the group has to determine what the name of their band is going to be. So for the first decision I say in the groups, any students with a circle, any sort of circle on their card will make this decision. So in the red check group, we have three students that are going to be making that decision. In the blue group, we're only going to have one student making that decision. And over here in the green, we have all students helping make that decision. And so when you look at that, the red group here is what would be compared to an oligarchy or a small group decision-making body. The one in the middle, the blue, would be an example of tyranny. So there's one person making the decision. And then the far right, or the green group, would be an example of a democracy where all citizens have part in that decision-making process. So they make their decision, and of course those in the blue check mark are always upset because they don't have any feedback as to the name of their band, but they get over it. And then we move on to decision 2. And in decision 2, I say everybody with two shapes on their cards. So over here now, the red check now has a tyranny. The double shapes in the middle now my blue checks are a democracy. And then over here we have an oligarchy. And the next decision I have is this group now, or this decision-making body has to determine what each person in the band's role will be. So they're determining who's playing guitar, who's singing, who's doing all those types of things. So now the roles have changed as well as the form of government within the groups in terms of how the decisions are being made. And then I go to a third decision, and the final decision is anybody with a red symbol. So we have my democracy, my oligarchy, and then my tyranny. And then the final decision is what genre or type of music they will play. So by the end of this activity, each group has experienced how it would be to make a decision under a tyranny where one person is making the decision, a oligarchy where three people, or a small group I should say, are the decision-making body, and then a democracy. And we talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages of both. Small groups making decisions are a little bit quicker but less people informed. Large groups, everybody's informed but the decision-making process is significantly slower.